It's time to kill your demons. So I realized a few weeks ago that there was a few layers of mental defeatism that I had kind of ingrained into myself. And the first few layers of it I kind of inadvertently killed by accident. And I think now that I've rationalized and I'm aware of them, I can kind of figure out how to dismantle them just by the knowledge that they exist. But when you have things that are hurdles and mental barriers that are keeping you weak, but you can't see clearly what they are, you just know that they're affecting you because there's something wrong. It's hard to identify what that actual piece is and how to break free from it. So when I was a kid, I'm the fifth of five kids, so my older siblings beat me up all the time. I did lose a lot of fights when I was a kid. I was really skinny and super weak. I'm 6'3", so I'm pretty tall, but I was emaciated in high school. And I had people telling me that constantly, that I was always going to be skinny, that I was always going to be weak, and I was very conflict avoidant and not confident at all. And when I was 18, I started getting into going to the gym, and around 20, I got into strongman. Shout out Brian Olsrue, another Maryland local. And when I competed a few times and I started doing pretty decently, well, I was like high mid-level amateur competitive, so nothing crazy by any means, but I was strong and relative to the average person, very strong. And I had people start telling me, they'd be like, oh wow, you're really strong, you can do these things, that's so cool. And that was kind of the first layer of confidence that was restored to me, or like that breaking away at that mental hurdle of being like, oh, I am strong, I can do this, I can actually make something of myself because I chose to, you know? The next one was when I got into kickboxing and MMA a few years later, and I had my first fight, and I knocked the guy out, and my pastor and his wife were there actually, and I remember talking to him afterwards, and he was saying like, yeah, I feel like something happened spiritually for you when you were there. I feel like that you were not the same person after that in a good way. And it was weird because I think the thing that he saw was something that took me a long time to realize, was that there was that layer of fear that I had kind of built into myself, of conflict avoidance to an unhealthy degree, that kind of was just vanished in a moment. And there was a confidence that was built in me, and now the knowledge that I can handle myself. So I don't seek conflict by any means. I want to diffuse that as much as I can, because getting into fights is not worth it. But I know that if there's a time when I need to protect my wife, or if I see somebody weaker than me that's getting hurt, that I can actually do something about it. And that realizing that you have to know what you're capable of in order to be able to actually do something when a situation transpires, because otherwise it's like everyone's the hero in their own mind, but you have no idea what you're actually going to do when something pops off. And the closer you've gotten to that actual situation, the better chance you have of having a realistic expectation of what's actually going to happen. So that was a huge one that kind of fell for me. And so in realizing that, I've kind of realized like, oh, these are all things that I've carried with me since I was a kid that were just holding me back and kind of crutches to the way I viewed myself operating within the world. And so that brings me to part 3, which is basically just get as jacked as humanly possible, dude. You know? So I think, especially being told I was emaciated and I was skinny all the time as a kid, that's kind of, it doesn't bother me now as an adult that people would say that, like, even if they say it to me now, I don't really care, because I'm not worried about what other people think about me because I'm an adult man. But there is kind of the like wanting to do it for the childhood me of being like, all right, dude, let's get as jacked as humanly possible, you know? And just kind of the most interesting training thing to me at this point here. Right now, it's the most exciting to me. But I think it can be really healthy to feel or to see those things that are holding you back, the ways that you're kind of lying to yourself, telling yourself, having a mantra of, I'm weak, I can't do this, I'm whatever. And I think it's important to face that thing directly and do whatever it is that would make you not feel that way about yourself. I can't fight, I'm weak, I should always avoid conflict, I'm gonna get beat up. Take yourself to an MMA gym, dude. Start learning to wrestle, start learning to throw some hands. Good things that everyone should know how to do anyways, just to be able to protect yourself. But that confidence that will give you is extremely mentally healthy. People bully you all the time for being small. It's like, it's not that you should, I'm not saying prove the haters wrong by any stretch of the imagination, because you shouldn't be fueled by what other people think of you. But if it's a mental, if it's gone from something people say about you to something you say about yourself, then it's an important time to address it. And I think the easiest way, my meathead psychology version, is basically just, someone tells me I'm small, I tell me I'm small, I get huge. Problem solved. You know, it's a little bit caveman of an operation on it, but it genuinely has worked for several things in my life like that. And I think it's important always to temper this through the lens of Christianity, which I think is the only transcendent logical philosophy that, the only worldview that's objectively true and holds up across the board. But even if you don't believe in that, you need to actually have some framework that you view the world in, and viewing yourself as like weak or a victim or subject to the whims of the world is not a mentally healthy way to exist. And I think it's important to combat that in any way that you can. So that's my meathead schizo ramble of the day. Rock on, fellas. Have a good one. Stay righteous.